Small business is about courage, risk-taking, independence, and we small business owners are survivors. Everybody has an idea for a business, but how do you take that idea from mind to market? This is the place to learn.
Small Business School with Hattie Bryant.
It's a new kind of school. Together we'll learn about business from the inside out, from the people who've done it. We'll meet the men and women who are today's pioneers and quiet heroes. Their lives are the textbooks. Our classroom is the world.
Small Business School is made possible by support from IBM. We're not just for big business anymore. At our website, built just for you, discover how technology can move your business forward. When it's your business, everything matters. IBM.
And by Southwestern, providing learning solutions in business and economics. Southwestern is part of the Thompson Corporation.
And the United States Postal Service, delivering the promise to America's 23 million small and growing businesses. We're where you live your life. We're where you run your business.
This is Small Business School. You might want to grab a pencil if you're interested in growing your business or even starting one. I'm Hattie Bryant. Most of our 30 minutes each week is spent in the Small Business Masterclass. Vicki and Paul Scharfman of Madison, Wisconsin are the leaders of the class today. They could be your university professors because they have plenty of degrees to show they're qualified. However, a master class is not taught by a professor. It's led by a person who's already done what he or she is talking about. This is real life experience. Step into our master class with Paul and Vicki Scharfman. It's cheese, one of my favorite foods, and now I get to see how it's made. And where else but in Wisconsin?
Let me tell you how you make cheese. Cheese is like a chain link fence. We start by pouring pasteurized milk into a vat and adding some enzymes and cultures. Now those enzymes break down some of the proteins in milk and link them together to make a chain link fence. And they trap in the holes in the fence globules of fat. That's what curd is. It's just like all the tennis balls caught in a chain link fence. Then we're going to have people cut the curd. They'll be cutting the cheese. We push it into a curd elevator where it's lifted up and then dropped into forms. And all those forms will be turned periodically, covered to keep them the right temperature, and then cooled overnight. And we then make blocks of cheese. This is what we call the leader plant. We know it has been making cheese continuously for 160 years. These are 3-foot thick fieldstone walls.
In 1991, Vicki and Paul Scharfman bought the oldest continuously running cheese factory in the state.
All right, these are the walls that have been in this building for at least 160 years and have seen that much cheese making. It was only a few years ago we brought in sandblasters and sandblasted all the walls, had to get them smooth and cleanable so that they could be USDA approved. I get a great deal of personal satisfaction out of having found a way to take this small, inefficient little room, whatever it is, it's inefficient, and turning it into a flexible asset, something which can make a little bit of a lot of different specialty cheeses.
You won't find the basics coming out of this place. You find cheeses made for niche markets. Kosher Syrian and Arab cheeses shipped to delis in New York, and the biggest seller, Queso Blanco, shipped to Miami, Houston, and other cities with large Hispanic populations. How did you land on Hispanic cheeses?
Certain types of foods can't be made without authentic Hispanic cheeses. Just to give you an example, all the American cheeses melt, but certain Hispanic cheeses don't melt. You know what an enchilada is,
yes.
Right? There's a tortilla with
tons of enchiladas.
There's the tortilla and the cheese inside, but when Americans make it, the cheese gets gooey and runs out. The genuine enchilada has the cheese soft, but it stays inside the enchilada. You can't do that with an American cheese. And the consumers were saying, would somebody please make me this cheese? Right. How did we decide to make Syrian cheese? We paid someone to spend a few hours in a library going through census data,
Right.
asking what are the languages spoken at home in this country,
And which cultures eat cheese?
right?
You know, if we could figure out a cheese that Chinese people would eat
Yeah.
or Chinese Americans would eat, boy, would we be out there with a Chinese American focused product.
I was the sales and marketing manager for a subsidiary of Oscar Mayer, Lewis Kemp Seafood. Before that, I'd been the marketing manager for the Oscar Mayer company. And the first week in 1991, the Oscar Mayer company said to me, "You're a great guy, and we don't need you anymore. So have a great life." They gave me a nice severance package, and we went to what was called an outplacement counselor, and he gave me a battery of tests, which were, they're a tool. I took a bunch of different tests. None of them were terribly useful, but in total, they helped me to identify something that I could really believe in. Here are the set of skills that I have and the motivations. I didn't have to like what I learned, but there it is. I learned that what I like to do is to start things, to initiate, to innovate, to get going. Now, it wasn't that hard to go the next step and say, what am I good at? Because there's skills, and you can go and you can pretty analytically say, you're good at marketing, and in particular, you're good at food marketing. I've come out of a dozen years at Kraft General Foods. And in particular, you're good at marketing of refrigerated foods. Before I signed over the money to Fred Heim, we had spent close to $100,000 of our own money in market research. The biggest lesson that I had in this whole acquisition process was learning what I didn't know. Okay? It was relatively easy through this outplacement service to learn what I did know. Okay? But what I didn't know is a humbling experience. There's a lot you don't know. But once you fess up, then you can go learn it. I went out and got an enormous amount of debt, put up my home and everything I owned, and by November of 1991, we had bought the assets of what was then the Heim Cheese Company.
The headquarters for what they now call the Specialty Cheese Company is in Lowell, about an hour's drive from Madison.
I identified a company that fit my desires. Wanted to sell out, needed equity, needed marketing help. And I went to that firm and said, so what do you do well? What can I build on? Well, I could say what they didn't do well, because sales were going like this. What do they do well? They make very good cheese, and they make a Cuban type of cheese. Boy, was it salty. But it's unusual. It's Cuban. I wonder if we could build on the notion of Cuban cheese. Well, my wife and I batted that one around. It didn't take too long to come up with more Hispanics are Mexican than Cuban, and there are other types of Hispanics. Let's see how those people have their cheese needs fulfilled.
Paul and Vicki both have MBAs in marketing, and they say their successful turnaround of a dying company is based on market research. Vicki is adamant about it.
There are many people who go out and say, I have God's gift to the product world. I have this fabulous invention. Everyone's going to love it. I'm going to make a mint. I'm going to sell a gazillion of them. They go out and they make this wonderful product, and it sits there, and nothing happens. And they can't understand why people aren't buying this, all right? That is completely the backwards approach to marketing. Marketing says, find out what your consumer wants, what your consumer needs, and what they're not getting from the current offerings in the marketplace, and go out and tailor your dream to what they want. And that's going to be the right fit that sells product. Okay, so that's the start of it. And in fact, one of the difficulties in coming into the business that we are in is it's a completely production-driven business. It is not a marketing-driven business. And so you have employees, and it's industry-wide, saying, you know, we made the same stuff year after year, and it sold just fine for my grandpa, and it sold fine for my pa, and it'll sell well for me. And it's not true. Markets change. And that's what we felt we would bring to the party, was an understanding of how markets change and to tailor the products.
The gist of it is simple. Ask. People love talking. Ask them about something that they care about, and they will tell you more than you want to know. You want to go and become a manufacturer of golf balls. Have you started by asking people who use golf balls about the product?
Have you asked people who play golf a lot, heavy users, about it? You want to go and make stuffing mix. When was the last time you made stuffing? Probably not recently. Who makes a lot of stuffing? Have you talked to them? What are the problems? What do they like? What don't they like? It's free. You can do it.
And before you ever do a survey, surveys are great in their place. You have to do qualitative research. You have to start by talking either in one-on-ones or a focus group of 8 to 12 people where people give each other feedback and they get excited and they taste the products and they look at them. You start with that and you frame what the overall issues are and you get a lot of the details. And you can follow that up then with a survey.
So it's legwork, discipline, staying focused, asking the same questions over and over and over again.
Start out with organizing your thoughts. What do you want to know? And there are dozens of books about the sorts of questions you can answer and ask and what have you. And then for most people, the biggest barrier is getting through the personal, I'm willing to make a cold phone call. I'm willing to make a fool of myself,
Trying to get this information.
Yeah, look, I don't know you from Adam, but I'd like to know about cheese. What are you? Some sort of...
What we found with the products that we inherited from the previous owner was that basically they were on target, but they were maybe the wrong shape or the wrong color or the wrong name. It's as if you went to the store and you wanted to buy brie, and somebody tried to sell you a box of brie which was orange colored and had no skin on it, no rind. And you'd say, this is not brie. What is this? This is cheddar or Munster or something, but it's not brie. We would take slightly different versions of the products to the focus groups until you begin to get ahas. You say, oh, that's queso blanco, just like my grandmother used to make in the kitchen.
Hattie, when we bought this company, basically what I did to the employees up there is propose marriage. I said, I don't even want an office up there. I'm going to be the marketing, the selling part of the company. You guys make the cheese. You are terrific cheesemakers. There's more cheese-making expertise in that company than anywhere. It's incredible how good those folks are at making and manufacturing wonderful cheese.
How long have you been making cheese?
About 42 years.
Ludwig Zoller is a master cheesemaker. He and Paul are constantly working on new products.
In this type of cheese, we're looking for a creamy texture.
See, I think it tastes wonderful.
Tastes there, but it's not quite what we want. I'm hoping this one is.
My job is to represent the consumer, be it a housewife, an individual, a chef, a restaurant owner, and my job is to find out what they need. What we do as a business is use 3 pieces. We have someone who goes out and has a pretty good rapport with customers and consumers and knows how to get that information. We have assets, very flexible assets. These old cheese factories are inefficient, but boy, are they flexible. We can do a little bit of anything here. Not a lot of anything, but a little bit of everything. And the most important piece is we have real experience, real brains. We have masters who can take weird requests. Say, yo, Ludwig, I don't know how to do this, but look, I need a cheese that is creamier or grittier or with purple spots or whatever. And that's what the marketplace wants. How do we do it? Here I've asked Ludwig to do things that are contradictory. I've asked him to make a creamy cheese that's gritty. No, wait.
I didn't do that.
But you just tasted it. May I taste this other one?
Please. So you can't wait to see if it's working, going the way you want it to go. A creamy, gritty cheese.
Okay, we're getting close.
Next step, I already know.
You already know what you're going to do to this?
I already know what we have to do to change the texture of this cheese.
You already know what you're going to do next. And you're not going to tell us.
No.
Paul says you can grow too fast.
We had 7 cheesemakers originally, licensed Wisconsin cheesemakers, making one product differently. Here we are, we've been in business for a little less than a year. We're just introducing our new pride and joy, the new La Vaca Rica brand of Hispanic cheeses. And I pick up a piece of cheese from vat 1 and a piece of cheese from vat 2, and they taste different. I can tell that's not good. What happened? We call back to the office, and they say, well, the first vat was made by such and such a cheesemaker, and the second vat was made on a different shift or at a different plant. How could this be? I get the 7 licensed cheesemakers in a room, and I say, guys, I thought we were all making the same cheese. And they say we are. How do you make it? 7 different answers. You can't do that and grow. Slow down. Get one procedure for that product. Make a training manual for your employees. If sanitation is so important in your business, which it is, you better find out what the procedures are for sanitation, how to train people, how to test, how to be sure that you have the quality all the time. Fast growth jeopardizes product quality, and that's what happened to us. So over the course of the second and third years, we've evolved into a pattern of weekly core group meetings. Paul would visit the plants every so often. There'd be team meetings, and we had to set up a new notion, and the new notion was team meetings, plant meetings, listening to what the employees said. Now you're growing new products, so now you got to ask, so Leandro, what's it like when we ask you to put paprika on the outside of the cheese? I can't ask the management. They've never done this before. I got to ask the person who's doing it. And he'll say, well, I really need a dry table or it gets all gummy. I wouldn't have figured that out. The management wouldn't have figured out. So you need to develop a culture of bottom up.
Vicki and Paul Scharfman became small business owners after having spent years educating themselves and working both in nonprofit organizations and big corporations. Both have MBAs in marketing, and when they bought specialty cheese, they did what they would have done in a marketing job with a big company. They did research and continue to do research. Vicki and Paul spent thousands of dollars to come to the conclusion that there was a market for Queso Blanco, their top-selling product today. Had they just continued making what everyone else makes, they would be struggling to compete with the big guys. It seems so obvious, but frankly, we know most small business owners don't do market research. Stop what you're doing now, hire an outsider. Could be your mom, your friend, or a research firm to call some of your existing customers to find out how they really like your product or service. What changes would they like to see? Also, ask yourself, who are your future customers going to be? Find a way to interview samplings of this group. Based upon what you've learned, make changes. Stop guessing what your customers want and start asking.
At smallbusinessschool.org, there is self-help study for people who want to start a business and for those who want to grow the business they have. From the home page, choose Pathways to Self-Study. Next, you'll find 8 steps or stages of growth. At each step, you'll find links to more resources. Also, in the video box for online learning, you can always watch a current episode and you can experience an interactive study guide.
The competitive model for industry breaks down at small business. We ought to be more collaborative than competitive. And as a business, we believe in that and try to do that. We try not to copy our competition, but to innovate. We try to build markets. We try to work with our partners and our suppliers and our companies around us. We try to find win-wins all the time. As the biggest processed meat maker, Oscar Mayer, it's really hard to collaborate with the number 2 guy. We're competitors. We got all the staff, we got all the plants, we are competitors.
Right.
The little local cheesemaker down the street who's making Colby and I, other than the fact we're both buying raw milk, we might as well be in different businesses. We are not competitors.
We should change the way we think about that word, competition.
Yeah, small businesses collaborate with each other profitably. They don't compete with each other profitably. There's just not enough there.
By brainstorming with other cheesemakers, Paul and Vicki came up with their newest product.
And the idea was cheese and crackers without the crackers. People love cheese, they like crackers, they want cheese that crunches. I said, super, I know how to do this. And Ludwig and I went back, and Ludwig figured out how to do it. And I came up with the real cheese crinklies in a simple deli tub. And I went out and I said, don't you love it, consumers? And the only good news is that I hadn't invested in labels, because they said, wrong.
Bronx cheer.
Okay, so I took this and I said, oh, fine, I'll change the name and I'll change the color of the label. It's not real cheese, it's just the cheese.
Still not working?
So then we said, we'll change the shape of the box. How about this package?
And the product inside.
How about this?
How do you like the product?
How about a little cute box? How about a sleeve around the box? We learned here, this is a pretty box. And I can see those chips in there.
It's
But
too
those
pretty.
are chips.
The box is too pretty.
Whatever that is, here's a cheese wedge, and I can see the chips. Here's a pie plate. I can see the chip. You know what I learned? I was dead wrong from the beginning. Consumers don't want to see the chips because once they see the chip, they don't believe it's cheese. And that led to the insight, no. First say it's cheese, and then let them see the package.
Right.
Consumers told us to first say it's cheese, and then open up the window. First say it's cheese, whatever the flavors are, right? Different colors. And then open up the window, and then, oh, I see, there's chips.
Now that the Atkins diet is popular again, they can't make enough to supply the demand. To order just the cheese, crunchy baked cheese, go to www.specialcheese.com. Advice.
If I had a wish for a person who has decided he wants to be in his or her own business, what I would wish they could emblazon on their forehead is know what you don't know. And once you know what you don't know, you got to go find it out. But you got to fess up first. I don't know that. I don't know how to set up an office. I don't know what my customers want. I don't know how big the market is. I don't know what Fine. There's going to be a long list of don't knows. Line them up, start checking them off. Go learn. My advice to people is don't overrate your own knowledge. You're only one person. A person can do anything, but you can't do everything.
Like all entrepreneurial couples, Paul and Vicki find working together exciting. Paul stays on top of production and Vicki works from their home.
Business. We both believe that we make much better decisions on everything together than either one of us would make individually. You have to multitask, all right? It's much easier if you multitask because I can be we both do carpooling. I can be carpooling kids and talking on the car phone at the same time, and you have to be extremely organized. We do have the flexibility not to be on someone else's schedule. Yes, phone calls are made during the business day, but because we operate across multiple time zones, I can do California later at night. Frequently, I'm coming, there was a week, 2 weeks ago, where I was coming home and talking to Texas from 10 to 11 o'clock every single night. Which, yes, it drove me a little crazy because I'd already put in a very long day at that point. But you can organize yourself timing-wise, and then we work at night. We both, when the children go to bed, we come back and we work some more.
Paul drives this '83 Toyota with 260,000 miles on it. He let his kids do the paint job as a birthday gift.
Hattie, I bought a lifestyle. In addition to buying the assets for a company and all the rest, I bought a lifestyle of balance. By scaling back my operation, I can scale back the number of people who need me, and I can have a family life which includes teaching math to my children's school, being in the PTO, coaching soccer and basketball, being a husband and a father, not just a businessman.
You may think all small business owners live the lifestyle of the rich and famous. I don't think so.
John Morgo, our marketing advisor, says we need to measure our marketing efforts.
Marketing for a small business person, it's such a mystery in so many ways, and we do things that we don't know if it worked or not. How do I know in my marketing efforts if I'm making progress?
First of all, what you need to do is build a response mechanism into every mailing package that you have. Some call to action, and then measure that call to action. The whole idea for measurement is to determine what's working. If something doesn't work, discontinue it. Now what you should do is measure one variable at a time. So if you send one message and one offer, you send it a couple of times. If it doesn't work, change your offer. That's why you're measuring. You're measuring the change. And continuous change is continuous improvement, continuous measurement is going to make you more effective, more competitive, because what you're doing is you're moving where the market's moving, and the change and the measurement, okay, is the response vehicle that you're using to understand what direction is the market going in.
Since we were at Specialty Cheese, the Hispanic cheese market has attracted the attention of big competitors. So Paul and Vicki are now off to invent new niches for themselves. Just the Cheese has been reinvented and now comes in 11 flavors. People on the Dr. Atkins diet love it. I'm not on the diet and I love it too. You can learn more about Specialty Cheese at specialcheese.com. Remember, stop guessing what your customers want and start asking. We'll see you next time.
Small Business School is made possible by support from IBM. We're not just for big business anymore. At our website, built just for you, discover how technology can move your business forward. When it's your business, everything matters. IBM. And the United States Postal Service, delivering the promise to America's 23 million small and growing businesses.
If you want to learn more about starting, running, and growing a business, come to our website, smallbusinessschool.org. There's streaming video and interactive study guides.
The only way we can compete with big business is to be faster, smarter, and better. We are the engine of the American economy. We create the jobs. Small business is about big commitment. It's about sacrifice and struggle. But we do it because we say, if I don't do this, my life won't be complete.